Welcome to this brief guide on how to use groups in Excel. Ever feel like you're drowning in a sea of data in Excel? Maybe you're constantly scrolling left and right, trying to compare information that's far apart. Or perhaps you've hidden columns and rows only to forget which ones are hidden and struggle to get the full picture back. These are common frustrations when working with large datasets. And trust me, we've all been there. But what if I told you there's a fantastic way to organize your data, making it easier to navigate, analyze, and present? The answer is Excel's powerful grouping feature. This often overlooked tool allows you to neatly collapse and expand sections of your worksheet, bringing clarity and control to even the most complex spreadsheets. Let's kick things off with the absolute basics, grouping columns. This is a fantastic way to declutter your spreadsheet and focus on specific sets of information. Think of it like putting related items into a folder. You can easily close the folder to see the bigger picture or open it to examine the contents. In our example here, we have sales figures broken down by month and quarter. Now, if we want to analyze quarterly performance, constantly looking across all of these individual columns can become quite cumbersome. The first step here is to tell Excel which columns we want to group together. We do this by selecting them. So click on the column header for January, that's the letter at the very top of the column. Hold down your left mouse button and drag across to the column header for March. You'll see these three columns, January, February, and March, all become highlighted. This indicates that they are now selected. With our desired columns selected, we now need to head over to the Data tab in the ribbon. This tab houses various data management tools, and the grouping feature is located within it. So click on Data right up here. Once you're on the Data tab, look towards the right-hand side. You'll see a section labeled Outline. Within this group, you'll find our target, the Group button. Simply click on the main group button itself. And just like that, we've grouped our columns. You should now see a horizontal line appear just above the column headers of your grouped columns. This line has a small minus sign on the right-hand side. This is your visual indicator that these columns are now grouped. This line and the minus sign together are often referred to as an outline symbol. And now for the magic. Simply click on that little minus sign. Watch as the columns for January, February, and March neatly collapse, and the minus sign transforms into a plus sign. This means that the group is now hidden. To reveal the grouped columns again, simply click on the plus sign. The columns will expand back into view, and the plus sign will revert to a minus sign again. This toggle allows you to quickly show or hide this entire block of related columns with a single click. Now, let's move on to grouping rows. The concept is exactly the same as grouping columns, but this time we'll be working vertically. Row grouping is incredibly useful for organizing data that is categorized by rows. For instance, in this dataset, we have the sales data organized by different geographical regions. Just like before, the first step is to select the rows that we want to group. Let's say we want to group all of the individual sales entries for the North region. Click on the row number of the first row belonging to the North region. Hold down your left mouse button and drag down to the row number of the last North region entry. You'll see the row numbers become highlighted, indicating that these rows are selected. With the rows of the North region selected, navigate back to the Data tab in the ribbon. Once again, locate that outline group and simply click on the Group button. You'll now notice a vertical line appearing to the left of the row numbers of your grouped columns. This line, along with the minus sign, signifies that these rows are now grouped and can be collapsed. Go ahead and click on that minus sign located at the end of the vertical grouping line. You'll see all of the individual sales entries for the North region neatly collapse, and the minus sign will change to a plus sign. To view the details again, simply click on that plus sign and the rows will expand back into their original state. Now, let's explore how to create a true two-level hierarchy for your column groupings. As you can see in our spreadsheet, we have our monthly sales data organized with columns for each month, and columns showing the Q1 total, Q2 total, Q3 total, and Q4 total, which help us visually separate our quarterly data. We've already learned how to group January, February, and March together, so let's repeat that process for the second quarter. Select the columns for April, May, and June, and then go to the Data tab and click on the Group button. Do the same for the third quarter by selecting July, August, and September and grouping them. And then finally, select October, November, and December and group these columns as well. As you can see, we now have multiple horizontal grouping lines appearing above our column headers. However, what if we want an even higher level of control, where we can collapse or expand all of our data at once? Here's where the second level of our hierarchy comes in. Instead of just grouping the individual quarters, let's now select all of our data columns. That means we'll click on the column header for January, hold down our mouse and drag all the way to the end. In my case here, that's selecting columns B through to Q. Now with all of our data columns highlighted, go back to the Data tab and click on the main group button one more time. Now you should see a new grouping line appear above all of our individual quarter groupings. This outer line has its own minus sign too. This is our second level of hierarchy. This multi-level grouping allows for incredibly flexible data viewing. If you click on the minus sign for the first quarter, you'll see that all of the months within that quarter collapse at once. Repeat this for the other groups, and you can see that we are now left with just our quarterly view. And with a click of the minus sign on our top level grouping, we're now left with just the total view. This layered approach provides a fantastic way to zoom in and out of your data at different levels of detail. Imagine you're preparing a presentation on your company's annual sales performance. You could start by just showing the overall annual totals. And then if your audience wants to see a breakdown by quarter, you can simply expand the top level groups. And then if there's a specific quarter that they want to delve into further, you can then expand to the next level to reveal the individual monthly figures, all within the same worksheet without having to switch between different tabs or constantly hide and unhide individual columns. And if we need a way to maximize all of our groups at once, that's possible too. Simply select all of the group data at once, Control A works great for this, and then head back to the Outline section in the Data tab. Here we can see two little buttons that represent Show Detail and Hide Detail. Click on the Show Detail button to expand all of the selected groups, or use the Hide Detail option to minimize the selected groups with ease. And if you just need to move to a particular level of grouping with even more ease, you can leverage the numbered layer buttons that are located to the left of each tier group that we've created. This should make managing your groups even more efficient. Of course, there will be times when you no longer need your data to be grouped, or perhaps you just want to adjust your groupings. In such cases, you'll need to know how to ungroup your data too. Fortunately, this process is just as straightforward as grouping. First, identify the group that you want to remove. If you want to ungroup an entire level of grouping, for example, all of the months within a specific quarter, make sure you select all of the columns or rows that are currently part of that group. You can do this by clicking and dragging across the relevant column headers or row numbers. Once you have the grouped columns or rows selected, navigate back to the Data tab in the Excel ribbon. In the Outline group, you'll find the Ungroup button located right next to the Group button. Click on the small arrow below the Ungroup icon to see a couple of available options. A drop-down menu will appear with two main choices, Ungroup and Clear Outline. If you want to remove just the selected level of grouping, click on the Ungroup option. You'll see the grouping line and the corresponding plus or minus sign disappear, indicating that those columns or rows are no longer part of that particular group. If you have multiple levels of grouping, you might need to repeat this ungroup process for each level that you wish to remove. For instance, if you first group your months into quarters and then group those quarters into a year, you would need to ungroup the months first, then ungroup the quarters. Now let's take a look at the second option in the Ungroup dropdown, and that's clear outline. If you want to remove all of the levels of grouping from your worksheet at once, this is the option that you'll want to choose. Clicking Clear Outline will instantly remove all of the grouping lines and plus and minus signs from your entire spreadsheet, effectively returning it to its ungrouped state. A common scenario where you might need to ungroup is when the structure of your data needs to change. For example, if you previously grouped data by month, but now you want to analyze it by product category, the old monthly groupings might no longer be relevant, and you'd need to ungroup them before creating new groupings. And so there you have it. You've now learned how to effectively use the grouping and ungrouping features in Excel. We've covered the basic column and row grouping, creating multiple levels for a hierarchical view, as well as how to easily ungroup your data. By mastering these techniques, you can significantly improve your workflow, making it easier to navigate, analyze, and present your data. Remember, the key is to experiment and find the grouping strategies that work best for your specific needs. And don't hesitate to leave a comment below if you have any questions. Happy grouping, and I'll catch you in my next video. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, be sure to check out the channel. And if you like what you see, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.